Did you ever get a gun from a classic game?
I think for me, it's Golden Gun. GoldenEye.
Oh, Golden Gun.
I'm all for high risk, high reward.
LTM, Golden Gun?
Maybe.
Okay, that's a good idea. Hello, everyone. We're joined by Eric and Josh. Could you guys introduce what you do at Respawn, just in case I say the wrong thing?
Absolutely. I'm Eric. I am the weapons and loot lead on Apex. So all the guns, all the loot, all the items, meta, balance, that sort of stuff comes through my team.
And I'm Josh Mohan, the lead Battle Royale designer. So the things that I'm covering are kind of the rules of the game itself, the ring, beacons, AI, vehicles, crafting, stuff like that.
I saw you guys were at the signing, and I was curious, what do fans typically ask a dev? Like, what are the things that or were there some questions that threw you off or were really interesting? What kind of conversation did you have with the fans here at ALGS Champs?
Kind of all of the fans have something unique to their perspective of the game, so they all kind of have that one burning thing that they want to ask, and it tends to be kind of different from fan to fan. Things like, why is my favorite gun so bad? Or why is this gun so good? Or what are you guys doing with aim assist? That sort of stuff, which, you can't really answer as they're just walking by and getting a signing, but it's very gun focused once they learn that I work on weapons.
But the thing I was, love to see was just people were just giving a lot of positive feedback and just saying they love the game and thanking us for what we do. And just, that's the beauty of, I think, the community around Apex 7 is really positive. And just, it was a great experience.
I saw you guys were vibing.
Yeah, it was great.
It's pretty cool, yeah.
It was fun to sign stuff.
Josh, I had a question about Apex in general. I remember when Apex came out in 2019, there was like the Respawn beacon, and then 2 months later, Fortnite had a reboot van, which seems very similar. How do you balance like imitation versus innovation?
Oh, that's interesting. We obviously look at all sorts of games, other BRs, but other shooters. I'm personally working on the strategic elements of the game. I draw references from all sorts of games. So I think there's a rule in game design where it's like, we don't really see it as like imitation. If to draw inspiration from another game, there's always a lot of creative work that goes into integrate an idea of a different game into your game. So like, I would never say that another game ripped us off or we ripped off another game. It's all just there's this pool of ideas that as designers we all share and participate in.
We kind of say this all the time, but like ideas can come from anywhere. Anybody can have an idea. Different games can have good ideas, and just because another game has done it doesn't mean we can't do it, or just because we've done it they can't do it. It's always about the expression, right? So if we see awesome ideas out there, it's just important for us to figure out, well, what are the important things about that idea, and how do we make the most Apex version of it so that it fits our universe, it fits our gameplay and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, they can come from anywhere, and we embrace that, and I think all kind of game devs embrace that. It just sort of comes with the job.
I was wondering, is there a gun from another game, like a classic game, if you could import into Apex, what would it be? So mine would be Shock Rifle from Unreal Tournament.
Shock Rifle gets brought up a lot, actually. Like we talked about it internally many times. Flat Cannon. Flat Cannon's one that comes across our team quite often. We've got a lot of designers that are heavily invested in that sort of artillery style weapon. I think it would be fun to just experiment with any type of weapon, and something that we would probably never do it, but beam rifles has always been something that we've thought would be fun, but I can say it because we're never going to do it. Hit scan weapons are not particularly healthy in Apex, as you might have noticed with the charge rifle rework. But a beam rifle style weapon has been something I've always wanted to build and prototype and weasel into Apex, but we're not going to do that. Like it would ultimately be unhealthy for the game, though it is a very cool style of weapon.
Fair. Did you ever get a gun from a classic game?
I think for me it's Golden Gun. GoldenEye.
Oh, Golden Gun.
I'm all for high risk, high reward.
LTM, Golden Gun?
Maybe.
That's a good idea. How come there's no weapon that ricochets off a wall?
Because it's unhealthy.
Why is it unhealthy?
We find that if you cannot see the person that's dealing damage to you, you cannot pinpoint their location. The counterplay elements just start to dissolve away, and that feels bad. I mean, we've prototyped ricochet weapons for sure, and it doesn't work. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel healthy, and we want you to, when you take that damage, we want you to, see the bullet tracers, hear the shots, and then be able, okay, they're coming from this direction. What are our options on this side of the building or the area that we're trying to cover? So Ultimately, yeah, it's just not a good thing for Apex.
Okay, that's fair. What's the gun you think is closest to, I guess, the perfect gun in Apex at the moment from like balance and design?
From balance?
Oh, look, just in general. When you think, like, oh, we did a pretty good job on that gun.
I'll let Josh go first because I will be very biased.
Yeah, I mean, I don't work as closely with the weapon balance as Eric does, but I just know I have my own personal favorites, and you know, like I said, I like high risk, high reward. So the 30-30 for a long time has been a favorite of mine, and it's really great to see it come into the meta here at the LGS Champs. You know, everyone's using it, and that came as a big surprise for me because I know Eric's team hasn't really made big changes for it. It's just sort of the latent power really got discovered, which is great to see.
If I had to say what gun do I think is like the most balanced, or like the most well designed.
Personal opinion.
For what it represents for Apex, I mean, I think it'd have to be the R301. The R301 is a staple weapon, and I say that because I've always and long thought that the R301 is sort of this transition weapon. It's our bread and butter gun. It doesn't do crazy things. It's consistent. It's easy to control. Its damage isn't particularly that high, but its damage is very consistent.
Apex has so many guns, but why is there only 3 grenades? Like, why are there not more?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, and we've prototyped many types of grenades before, but ultimately what it comes down to is we have the 3 sort of major beats that we want from grenades. There's the stick. There's a sticky grenade, which is just like high dopamine, really fun to use. You can make crazy plays off of it, and it does the slowing mechanic. And then we've got the thermite, which is area denial. So it's one where you will cut paths off. You'll create small opportunities for you to be controlling the battlefield. And then there's the frag, the killer. Like, it's got the sky nading, and it's just big damage, big burst damage creates those really meaningful push windows. And we found that through prototyping, like those major beats, anytime we would try to come up with another grenade, it sort of like just treads on there. It's like, oh, well, that's a bit of just area denial. Might as well just use the thermite. Or, oh, that's just big damage. I mean, just use the frag grenade then. Or, oh, that's got a sticky mechanic, or it's a slowing mechanic. Well, we've already got the arc star. So, to keep things clean and understandable, and the players understanding like what the counterplays are to these specific grenade types, it's important that you can process that in the time of, oh, there's a grenade indicator. What do I do?
Right.
And so by adding too many layers onto that, it actually creates kind of a muddy experience when you're thinking about that area denial or area damage. And then ultimately, anytime we come up with something like super meaningful that's like, okay, this has a lot of legs, but X, or it's more utility or something, we start talking with Legends, and we're like, hey, we had this cool idea for a grenade, but maybe it's a little bit more utility than it is like damage or area denial with damage. And then Legends will kind of maybe pick that up, and then they'll do their spins on it, and maybe that's where some of those have gone.
I was thinking today if I could make some grenades, and lots of times I thought the cool idea is like, oh, there's a Legend that does that. So I was like, Make a Smoke or Bangalore does that, or like, so I could see like grenades from the air. Okay, Fuse does that. So I see the point here.
Yeah.
So I've come up with a few ideas. Could you rate, I guess, out of 10, or like how feasible this is? Okay, so first one, we're borrowing from Fortnite here. The shot grenade, throw it, it lands, delay, and people are forced out. Like, and they get, so you could use it from behind
like
cover. Yeah, get pushed.
Impulse.
1 to 10, how possible?
As a grenade.
As a grenade, yeah.
So we're talking possibility or like?
Oh, I don't know. Which one's more fun? Let's do.
I think fun value is more
fun. Value. Let's do fun value.
Personal opinion only. I think that one is. I put it at like a 6, and I'll tell you why. The thing about Apex is the mobility of the game is so high paced, and there's so many abilities that, like, unfortunately, like a push to me feels like a momentary benefit for the attacker, whereas games with lower mobility, like being able to push and control the battlefield, is a much higher utility. So yeah, I feel like it wouldn't disrupt people as much as something more like an area control or area denial.
Okay. Next one, the Salvo Special fires a flare vertically. When it reaches its apex, will explode, blinding enemies who are looking in its direction.
1.
Ooh.
Blinding is not fun. The counterplay to blind, and then you shoot it in the air. Anybody who's like, oh, what's that? Blind.
That's the whole point.
Yeah. That's just like the counterplays there are not fun. Like, I don't know. I think that what's important about, damage, and what's important about these gameplay mechanics is that there's counterplay. And if a counterplay is just look at the ground or look away, like, you're just going to be caught with that sort of stuff. And I don't think that sort of soft CC is fun to play around.
Fair.
It's fun to use, but not fun to have it used.
Right, so it has to be, okay, fair on both sides. Okay, fair.
That's a major part of our job is it can be fun to use, but then there's everybody else that has to deal with it once it's on the battlefield. So kind of balancing the counter plays to the plays is really, really important. So it's always a metric that we're kind of measuring things by.
This is why it's cool to talk to you guys. I can learn about this. Yeah, I was thinking, I guess you could be an alias champ and like 10 teams are all blinded, just looking at the ground. It's going to be terrible. Pocket Storm, create a weather effect in a given area. Is that so we could have
just like a small wind, a little bit of rain?
Yeah, like rainstorm on Store Point, sandstorm on Kings Canyon, some kind of weather effect. How about that?
Yeah, that one's cool. I think, like rating it? 8 maybe? I think it's cool.
We can just go ahead and design it. I mean,
Here you go.
It's I think there's a thematic element too, which is really cool. I think a large part of what's fun about our maps is there's a cohesiveness and like a real strong theme to each of them. And now, difficult to build, but if it was doable and I think that'd be a fun thing to add for sure.
Oh yeah, 10 just so I can go to my VFX artist and say, I'd like a bunch of different storms in my pocket.
yeah, cool.
They'd be very happy with me.
I'm happy I got at least one. Final one is IGL. Create a dummy of Zero Hal who proceeds to give honest feedback of your performance, damaging your confidence.
Yeah, again with the psychic damage.
What about a dummy that does something like, like the robots that you have that give loot? Imagine if it's them, but it's just like abuse.
Just abuse, just berating
fun.
you.
Like I like the dummy.
Like, why
idea.
can't you hit your shots?
Yeah, just something. Anyway.
Yeah, no, like 6, probably. Just like middle of the road, but
Middle
like
of the road.
slightly, yeah, it just distracts teammates. Like, yeah, no, that's all good.
That's fair. Okay, I'm happy with Pocket Storm. Okay.